7 Awesome WooCommerce Payment Gateway for 2022. Want to accept payments on your WordPress site using WooCommerce? If you're starting a new e-commerce business, figuring out which payment gateway to use can be a daunting task. The complexity and sheer number of options available could be enough to scare you away from starting an online business altogether, and that's not a good thing. Not to worry, we've created a list of the top payment gateways that integrate well with WooCommerce. We've made it easy to find one that works and then get back to building your business. In this article, you'll learn what a payment gateway is and why you'll need one to accept payments on your WordPress site. Then, you'll learn about the different aspects of choosing a gateway. Finally, we'll go through the top 5 payment gateways. A payment gateway is a platform through which you can accept payments. Rather than going through all the financial and legal hassles required to process money yourself, you can simply sign up for a third-party payment gateway that will handle it all for you. Pretty nifty, huh? The payment gateway handles your customers' credit card numbers, expiration dates, and other personal information securely so that you don't have to. It also makes the entire transaction less anonymous and more transparent. Some of the most well-known payment gateways are Stripe, PayPal Pro, and Authorize.net. There are 2 basic kinds of payment gateways that you can use on your website. A payment form that is directly in your store. This means that the customer never leaves your website. Most major e-commerce sites like Amazon or Shopify work this way. A payment form that is on the payment gateway's website. For the customer to pay, they need to click a link, which goes to the payment gateway's website. PayPal is a prime example of this. Usually, it is better to have the form on your website as it cuts down the number of steps required to purchase. The less analysis paralysis you can give your customers, the more likely they will buy something. How does a payment gateway work? Payment gateways are fairly straightforward to set up. You create an account via one of the following gateways below. Link the account to your business/personal bank account. Add the payment gateway to your website. Most gateways also offer plugins that quickly connect to WooCommerce, like Authorize.net or Stripe. Now, you're ready to accept payments. When a customer purchases something, the gateway opens a secure link to the payment processor, the transaction is approved, WooCommerce receives a success message and the transaction is completed. Finally, you receive the money in your account, either immediately or within a few days, depending on the gateway. The entire process happens in less than a few seconds. Operational costs. Unfortunately, transaction fees aren't the only kinds of fees you'll need to worry about. Some payment gateways also charge monthly fees, extra fees for certain types of transactions, and other charges. Before selecting a gateway, make sure that it will work well with your particular type of business. Depending on the type of products you sell, certain payment gateways might charge you extra for recurring or subscription-based payments, while others don't offer the feature at all. If you plan to sell primarily to customers outside of your own country, don't choose a service that has high international fees. If your customers prefer to pay by check or cash and not debit cards, don't choose a service that charges high offline fees. You get the idea. WooCommerce compatibility. It makes things a lot easier if your payment gateway has a WordPress plugin. For example, WooCommerce has plugins for Stripe, PayPal Pro, Square, Authorize.net and numerous other gateways. Using one of these will make life much easier over the long term. Since these plugins automatically manage the connection between WooCommerce and their respective payment gateways, the setup and maintenance on your end is much lower. Without them, you'll need to manually figure out how to connect the various steps, which can be very difficult if you're not familiar with the technology. Ease of use. Running a business is difficult. Don't add to the challenge by picking a payment processor that is confusing or difficult to use. Financial services are complicated enough as it is without adding an extra level of complexity to the process. Some services are known for being easier to use than others. Stripe, for example, has built a reputation over the last decade as being one of the most user-friendly payment processors around. Square is also designed to be plug-and-play, with minimal setup required. As we mentioned above, there are a few kinds of payment gateways. Some will allow you to display the entire payment process on your own website, while others will require your customers to pay directly on their secure site. In general, you should try to use a payment gateway that is on your own website, as it looks more professional. However, it's not a deal breaker. If your preferred payment gateway doesn't allow you to do so. Payment methods available for the customer. Some payment gateways will restrict you to only accepting credit cards, while others will allow you to accept Bitcoin, PayPal or bank transfers. The more ways your users can pay, the better. Since some customers will only be able to pay you with certain payment methods, it's best to cover as many as possible. For the most part, there are no downsides to having many methods available. Unlike many other online businesses, payment gateways are often geographically limited due to legal restrictions. If you are, for example, in the Middle East or Africa, you may have some challenges with using American payment processors. Additionally, it is helpful if the company has support staff that speak your native language. This is especially important for complex technical issues, where communication is really important. There's nothing more frustrating than trying to explain a complex problem to someone that doesn't speak your language. Likewise, you should make sure that your payment gateway supports currency conversion and does so affordably. Certain gateways also charge high fees for transferring between different currencies, especially uncommon ones. Consumers like to pay in their own currency, so offering it as an option is always a great idea to increase purchases. It also makes your store seem internationally focused, which is great for your brand image. Finally, when it comes to payments, there is nothing more important than security. If your payment process isn't secure, you are leaving both you and your customers vulnerable to data loss and other issues. That includes technological, financial and even legal problems. Thankfully, virtually every payment gateway is secure, as long as you use it correctly. Most make it easy to be compliant with PCI and other local/regional regulations. Customers have to trust you before they'll be willing to buy something. By showing that you have a secure payment system set up, you communicate that purchasing a product from you is safe and reliable. The top WooCommerce payment gateways. Stripe is one of the most popular payment gateways on the market, largely because of its clean design, ease of use, and developer-friendly documentation and setup. Millions of businesses use Stripe, including Shopify, Amazon, Peloton, Squarespace, and Kickstarter. You can accept over a dozen forms of payment via customizable forms. These forms can be embedded on your site. The dashboard's reporting features are extensive and include monthly transaction history, monthly totals by category, managing refunds and disputes, and monitoring integrations. Stripe is also very compatible with WooCommerce, which allows you to embed the payment form directly on your website. This is extremely useful and increases the likelihood that customers will buy something. The form itself is optimized for PCI compliance to make sure that your customers' payments are always secure. You can accept major debit and credit cards in over 130 currencies and from every country. Most people are familiar with PayPal, as it is one of the oldest and most widely used payment gateways. PayPal Pro is their business solution. It is easy to set up and is globally accessible, with support for more than 200 countries/regions worldwide. PayPal is also very secure, with extensive anti-fraud features like automatic fraud screening and their seller protection policy. PayPal Pro has a WooCommerce plugin that makes it easy to connect directly with your WooCommerce store. This makes the setup process relatively painless. Customers don't need to leave your site at all, the entire checkout process can happen on one page. This decreases the likelihood of abandoned carts.